for the camera, obviously, just say and spell your first and last name for me.
Bobby Worthy. I'm the BOBBYWORTHY.
Okay, and let me fix this mic here. Make sure we're good. And then just, I guess, say your title.
I am the National Minister of Justice for the New Black Panther Party.
Okay. So, let's kind of start with the basics and you can look at me during this. Tell me, first of all, what did you file in Kingsland, Georgia in relation to this latest case?
Okay. Well, it all started from the bounds of me filing the one of our ministers, Mikhail Muhammad, was unlawfully arrested by the chief of police at a Finley protest. So I took a warrant out on the chief of police for false arrest, false imprisonment in violation of his oath of office, because you can't just arrest a protester because you feel you can. There's laws against that. And that's basically what they wanted with the chief of police. And I also filed with the chief of police what they call AO 91, which gives local judges authority to file federal criminal complaints as well. So I filed a criminal complaint for conspiracy against your rights, which is the right to peaceably protest, and color of law complaint under 240 U.S. Title 18-242. Which is you use your color of law, your title, to actually violate the law. And that's all that is. The second complaint I filed was against the Chief Magistrate Judge of Glenn County, Judge Atwood, which is Judge Atwood is a Glenn County magistrate. And for him to come into to Kingsland, Georgia, which is Camden County, then he violated the law, because the law is clear. The law says it's called Georgia 7 Deadly Sins. The magistrate judges have no authority to set bond in certain cases unless they have a delegation of authority from the Superior Court judge to set those certain bonds. Well, where he messed up at is that he did have a delegation of authority, but his delegation of authority was from Glenn County, Brunswick, Georgia, and the Georgia law clearly says he cannot leave his appointed or elected. His delegation authority can't succeed his elected or appointed county. So thus, when he came into Camden County, he violated that order. So I'm demanding that Zachariah Presley bond be revoked, and he immediately be rearrested and be given a hearing before a Superior Court judge. And the second one I filed, the third complaint I filed, was a petition to the grand jury to the grand jury of Camden County to remove the mayor of Kingsland, Georgia, from office, because he's on what they call the Georgia Ethics Commission. He's on bad debt. He's owed debt with the Georgia Commission. And in Georgia, the state of Georgia, I don't know about Florida, but in the state of Georgia, you cannot hold public office if you have a public debt. Himself and Councilman the Kingsland Mayor Kenneth Smith and Councilman Charles Day is on that list as bad debt. Thus, according to the Georgia Constitution, they cannot hold public office if they have a public debt. And that's what I filed a petition for the grand jury to remove them from office.
Have any of them responded to?
Well, it's at the probate level. The probate judges, and what the probate judges do is they're going to transfer it to Superior Court judges. And once the Superior Court judges, then that's when the case number be assigned and it'll be sent out to, for the next level of the hearing. Because
But you haven't heard from any of them just in general, right?
Not just yet. They know about it, though.
Okay.
retired judge from the Atlantic Judicial Circuit. It's my pleasure to be here this morning. And I believe we have two warrant applications. The first one would be Bobby Worthy versus Darrly Griffis. Please, Chief. Pardon me?
Can I speak before we get started?
All right. What's
Well, I got a guy that was arrested in Kingsland. We had to set a car and his car broke down. If you give me about 5 minutes, then run to the car and call and see where he at.
Who was that, a witness?
Yeah, he's the one that was actually arrested.
You what?
The one that was actually arrested in Kingsland. His car broke down, so we had to send a car to get him from Jacksonville. So you give me about 5 minutes, then you run out and call him, bring the phone again to see where he at with the status of that. If he can't get it, then I will.
All right, go ahead.
In the topic on the interstate of traffic.
Was there an accident on the interstate?
Yeah, on the interstate, coming from Jacksonville, like 20 minutes out.
All right, so you filed an application for arrest warrant against Chief Darrly Griffis.
Yes, sir.
Why wouldn't it be the person that arrested, that was arrested? Why wouldn't he be the applicant?
Well, as a citizen of the United States, I have a right to prosecute and defend and even petition or file a complaint with any public official. That's according to the U.S. Supreme Court. I do believe that we have a right to address our complaints with public officials. And since I can't go grab the chief of police and make a citizen arrest, then I must come here and bring it before the court. Because I can't grab him and say, okay, I'm going to arrest the police chief and take him to the nearest judicial officer. That can happen, so I have to address it here in the court through a warrant application.
Okay, I just remember the court reporter wants you to stand at the lectern, but I want to hear from Chief Griffis' attorney now.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Matt Morris, a lawyer from Oak Valdosta. I'm here representing Chief Griffis, and the court is correct. I believe that Mr. Worthy has no standing to file an application for the arrest warrant because he's not the victim of the alleged crime that he seeks the warrant on. And as Mr. Myers put in his motion to dismiss in Judge Atwood's case, Georgia law is pretty clear that if the applicant, if there's no nexus between the alleged crime and the applicant, then they have no standing to bring the warrant. There is a case, a United States Supreme Court case called Linda R.S. versus Richard D. that says a party who involves a judicial power must be able to show that he has sustained or is immediately in danger of suffering some direct injury as a result of a statute's enforcement. And it goes on to say that the party must show a logical nexus between the status asserted and the claim sought to be adjudicated. And the preliminary matter for any court in something like this is an inquiry into the nexus, which is essential to assure the litigant, in this case the applicant, is a proper and appropriate party to invoke the judicial power that he's seeking to evoke. In this state, Georgia Supreme Court has taken that case, that United States Supreme Court case, in two cases that are very similar, and I think bear on this matter. The first was Scanlon versus State of Georgia, or the State Bar of Georgia, and there the Supreme Court held that a citizen does not have a judicially cognizable interest in the prosecution or non-prosecution of another, and therefore lacks standing to contest a prosecuting authority's policies when the citizen is neither prosecuted nor threatened with prosecution. And in that case, the State Bar declined to pursue a disciplinary action against a lawyer, which was filed by the husband of that lawyer's that lawyer's client was this applicant's ex-wife, and there the court said, look, you got no standing in this. And then the next year, in 1995, Bartlett versus Caldwell, a similar situation, the husband filed a petition for writ of mandamus against a magistrate judge and DA for refusing to issue an arrest warrant or prosecute his wife for an alleged false affidavit she gave in their divorce action. The court again said, look, there's no nexus here between you and the alleged actions. And if you apply those cases here, the result is the same. Mr. Worthy is not a victim, alleged victim in this matter. He can't show any nexus between the alleged actions of Chief Griffis toward Mr. Muhammad and himself, and he has no personal standing to file the application, and for that reason it should be dismissed. He has no representative authority either, or representative standing. He's not a lawyer. He's not a cognizable representative for the alleged victim in this. And the other thing I want to point out, Your Honor, is that under the statute that we're proceeding under, OCGA Section 17-4-40, the court has the authority to right now look at the application and determine for yourself if there's enough set forth there to state probable cause of the issue of an arrest warrant. And I would submit that it does not. OCGA Section 17-4-40B1 says the warrant may be denied where the application form and any testimony from the offendant provided at the time do not demonstrate a probable cause for issuing a warrant. And I would suggest that the two affidavits that Mr. Worthy has submitted merely say or make a bunch of conclusory statements about what happened, but they do not present any facts that would add up to probable cause for the issuance of an arrest warrant. The allegations are simply insufficient. For that reason, the application should be dismissed. And so just at the outset, Your Honor, I think that's, the court can determine it right on its merits right now in front of us. Or for either of those.
So you're asking that I dismiss the application?
Certainly.
All right, well, Mr. Worthy, I'll give you a chance to say or present anything you would like with regard to that motion to dismiss.
Yes, sir. What I want to say to counsel is, as a citizen of the United States, we have a right to petition, file complaints with our government. As I just stated before, we have an absolute right to speak with, be heard by those invested with the power of government. The right expressly applied to the courts of this state, and nowhere when a judge commits an act of absence. And basically, a citizen, it's on OCGA 17-460 and 17-440, we do have a right to file complaints against our public officials. As I said before, you have 17-440 states that I can make a citizen arrest. Okay, would it be applicable, or would it be even smart that if I go and I see the chief of police commit a crime, go over and lay hands on him and take him to the new judicial office, or do I come to the court system and bring it to you and let you handle it? That's the proper call of law. We can talk about laws and twist the law all we want, but a public official has a higher authority than any citizen to abide by the law and make sure he go to the black ladder of the law. That's what we're talking about, the black ladder of the law. When you unlawfully touch someone as a public official, unlawfully touch someone without jurisdiction or just cause, that is a crime in this country. False arrest. What I do, Your Honor, I showed up. I tried to get a video of the incident that happened. We couldn't get it printed out in time. I didn't know if the officers had body cameras on or not. But I do have a witness that was there, and then I want to also call the chief.
Well, I believe Mr. Lawrence is correct in his statement of the law, and I'm going to dismiss this application.
Thank you, Your Honor. May we be excused?
Yes, will you prepare an order?
I will.
Send it to the clerk.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, the next, the case against Judge Atwood is scheduled for 9:30. But if you don't want to, we can go ahead and proceed with that.
We are ready to proceed. I'm going to ask him, the county judge, John Myers.
Okay, Mr. Worthy, you want to proceed?
Sir, got some witnesses on what they did. I got a subpoena for the prosecutor, he's not here.
Well, we scheduled it. I've been over backwards to accommodate everybody. First, I had it scheduled several weeks ago, and then we had an attorney conflict. Then I tried to schedule it again, and you wanted to go to North Carolina to, your daughter was on the homecoming court. And so it's been rescheduled now for the third time.
Well, you know, he
I'm ready,
proceeds.
everybody is here and ready to proceed. I said, everybody but you is ready and here and ready to,
Yeah, but
everybody but you is ready to proceed.
But I issued a subpoena, he didn't come. He has a subpoena.
Who did you subpoena?
The, Rocky Bridges, prosecutor.
Okay, well,
He's next door in his office, Your Honor.
he's next door.
Yes.
Okay, he's here in the courthouse.
You wanna get it?
They're going to get it. Do you want to make an opening statement?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. All right, what we're dealing here with is somehow, I don't understand how an attorney, a public official, can miss the letter of the law. And OCGA, OCGA 1761, as you know, Judge, there is a motion to dismiss before the court, and my response to the motion to dismiss. Or what they're not realizing is LCJ 17.6-1 states in part in paragraph H clearly states that the Superior Court judges can delegate their authority. But the delegation of authority, when they delegate their authority to the magistrate, it clearly says in letter H of the Illinois law, letter H, it clearly says that the magistrate judge cannot set bonds outside his appointed or elected county. Judge Atwood is from Glenn County. When he came over into Camden County, he lacked jurisdiction. He waived his immunity, and he lacked the authority to set bail for Zachariah Presley when he had no jurisdiction in the first place, according to the Georgia law. And if you want me to read it to you, you should have a copy, but I'll read it to you in part. It says, and not only that, John, I sent the defendants have a copy of it in their motion to dismiss it as exhibit. Exhibit D, and their motion to dismiss. I sent every judge in the Bronx Judicial Circuit, Superior Court judge, letting them know that this judge has violated the law. Letting them know the letter of the law that he did not have the authority to set this law, to set bond in Zachariah Presley bond. They never responded to that until I saw this in this motion to the for the attorney's exhibits of dismissal. With that said is, we dealing with what I call the black letter of the law. It's the black letter of the law, and that's what we're dealing with. He didn't have the authority. He had delegation of authority. The Superior Court judges gave him delegation of authority. They didn't look at letter H for some reason, but they went ahead and set the bail in.
Judge, we have filed a motion to dismiss, which was served on Mr. Worthy. He has filed a response, and the court has had the opportunity, I think, to review this as well. As to Mr. Worthy's statement that the subsection H 17.6.1 applies, his position of Judge Atwood that it does not apply, that he is empowered to hear bail bond cases in Camden County by virtue of his designation by the Chief Magistrate Judge of the Judicial Circuit. We have an administrative circuit, of course, that assigns cases where there are conflicts, and that was done in this case, as well as his appointment by the Chief Judge of the Superior Courts of Camden County, Judge Scarlett. The enumeration of what they call the 7 deadly sins in 17.6.1a is generally the live wire you want to look out for. There are certain things that magistrate judges cannot set bail bonds for, but in this case, this is not an offense. This is a voluntary manslaughter case. It is not a murder case. It does not have to do with that set of prohibited offenses for which magistrate court judges cannot set bail. In this case, we don't even get to paragraph H because 1A applies. So that's our basic position at this point, Judge.
I'm going to dismiss this application also. Would you prepare an order?
Don't waste all our taxpayer money.
All right, that concludes these
Yeah. I'm wasting time.
That is so sad. See how these people get to the FBI. I don't know, it don't matter. Interesting.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you so very much. You're a trooper. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Bob Worthy, I want to know what happened in the courtroom today, but before you explain what happened in the courtroom, what did you do to get here in the courtroom, and why did you do it?
Well, I filed application warrants, false arrest against the chief of police of Kingsland, and I filed another one for Judge Atwood, who clearly violated the law by coming to Camden County and setting bail on Zachariah Presley bond. I noticed in the hearing that the judge had already pretty much set his mind up because he wasn't paying attention to nothing I could say. I can look into his eyes. His mind was already made up, and he didn't even read the motion I filed. So that's he did not read the motion at all. So he'll get his chance to come back.
Okay, my question: why do you say he didn't read the motion?
I don't know why. Well, I mean,
how can you say that? What indication he give to let you think that he didn't read the motion?
Because if he'd have read the motion, he wouldn't even made a decision right then. You know, the law is clear. Letter H applies. He violated the letter H of OCGA 1761H, and he violated that where he cannot come outside his elected or appointed county. And I already knew that something like this was going to happen when I even stepped in the court. I knew, especially after he dismissed and didn't even allow me to call my witness. He really didn't give me due process of law. The prosecutor wasn't there. That should have been a warrant for his arrest there.
Okay, I was outside here with some citizens, and the question that they asked was, when you spoke of the person that was subpoenaed, who was the who?
He was the prosecutor.
Okay, the prosecutor.
Bridges.
And so there was a long pause, and the people have already seen that in the video, but there was a long pause. So why was that pause there if they knew that this individual was in the courtroom? I mean, why the long pause?
Because they thought they probably more than likely didn't think I was going to bring it up. But I paid for her subpoena. He has a subpoena by law. He should have been there. He wasn't there. You didn't have to go get him. You should have. He's supposed to have been arrested for violating that subpoena.
Mm-hmm. Another question. He works here in this building?
Yes.
He works in the building.
He works in this building and didn't come.
He knew he had to be in court.
And didn't show up.
At 9, but he wasn't setting in place, number one. And number two, they seemed not to be aware that he was, I mean, I thought they didn't know where he was. I thought he was coming from another city or something.
Yeah, they actually at first that's what they thought. And to the clerk of court rolled him somewhere. He over in the next room. Why he ain't in here? And the judge kept trying to talk me out of it. I done been over backwards for y'all and do this and all that. Well, I got a subpoena. I paid for it. That shows you right there, let me know his intent wasn't good no way. Because he didn't care that I had a legal subpoena. Then maybe that's why he retired.
Why didn't you try to rebut what the attorney said when he quoted that there was a difference in the way that he was interpreting the law?
Because the judge dismissed it, didn't give me a chance.
Okay.
I was going to rebut it. We're getting ready to get up, and he told me to dismiss this.
So where do you go from here?
Appeal it. I just talked to the clerk. I'm going to appeal the decision, and I'm going to file a complaint against the judge with the Judicial Qualification Commission, and I'm going to file a complaint with the FBI, a color law complaint, against the Judicial Circuit here.
Okay, we are here in Camden County, and you drove all the way from Blackshear?
Blackshear.
Okay, and do you think that the news media, like TV stations or radio stations, did they already know that we're going to be dismissed? Why do you think they are not here? I'm just asking you a question. I know I'm the grand student, so it's going to be public, but I'm just saying to me that people should be concerned about it because they're dealing with the death of Tony Green that has caused a great controversy in the community. Why do you think the news media?
Well, the news media seems like they don't never get involved. They did call me a few times, so, and I thought they was going to be here, but you know, I sent them out a media blast, just like I did you. I sent another one out last night and this morning while we was en route, and no news media. Somehow they didn't think this is not news. For some reason, they don't want to put our news out there. For some reason, I don't know what it is. Whether it's racism, favoritism, whatever how you want to do it, but there's something that is prohibiting the news media from putting the truth out there. But we all know the ghetto free press is there.
Well, let me ask you another question. I'm going to close on this note here. Overall, I ask this, and I'm hoping that the people that watch this video, I'm hoping that they would be concerned enough to ask the same question. And here's the question. Do you feel or believe that there will ever be justice in Tony Green's case here in Camden County?
Civilly, yes. Criminally, maybe. Because it's got to be moved out of this county, because you see what I just went through, and this judge wasn't even from this county. So, and we just went through that, where he just totally ignored all the cases, all the law, the Georgia code that I sent him. And he didn't even, I'm looking at him, he didn't even read. He just flipping through the page. He ain't reading nothing, just flipping through the pages.
Okay, well, he has a right to do that. But I'm going to ask you another question since you brought that up. Now, I have heard you on many occasions. I would ask any person the same question. I have heard you talk about the Black Lawyers for Justice and a guy, an attorney in Atlanta. And since there was an attorney, why did you not seek an attorney to deal with this case, number one? And after all, because the attorney say that it's illegal for you to even do this. So did you contact the lawyer before you did this, my brother?
Yeah, they knew I was doing it. The black lawyers, Dr. Malik, all of them, they knew what I was doing. But this is separate from them. They handling the civil part. I'm handling the criminal part, to send them behind up the road. Okay. Most lawyers that deal with the civil, that's all they deal with. They're not concentrating on the prosecution of the individuals like I am. I want them civilly hurt and criminally hurt.
Okay. In closing, give me your name and what you represent here today.
Bobby Worthy, National Minister of Justice for the new Black Panther Party for self-defense.
Thank you. Peace.
They got to get now. And now he's gonna be a defendant in the federal court. I don't stop the next level. That's where they going. All of them gonna be a defendant.
What about that little?
And then he didn't. You know what I'm saying? He didn't give me a chance to get my witness up, and he didn't give me a chance to cross back over what he said. He just dismissed. Really? He already had his mind up when I looked at him and saw him. That's all right. He about to get a letter from me. You next.
Time is out. It's out for the books.
It is. It's out, man.
Time out.
And these old liars around here, I'm gonna say it, they full of shit too. They know liars, all of them. They full of shit too, all of them. They full of shit. They liars. That's exactly what they do. This man had a subpoena to beat his ass in court. And he didn't show up, and they act like they didn't know where he was at.
They done told him you ain't got to show up.
What they should have, that's what they did. What they should have did, if I got a subpoena and didn't show it up, the judge should have said, when I said that he wasn't in there, the judge should have said, issue a warrant for his arrest. That's what he should have did.
No, but see, they done already told that man. I'm telling you now. That man knew he didn't have to come. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, he knew.
That's the way they work.
You say that's the way they work? What you mean by that?
That's the way the practice work. Sneaking behind the door, deceptive, acting like they gonna get a man a subpoena. No darn well they done told the man don't show up.
So you don't think no justice can be You don't think you can get justice here?
Yeah, you gotta take it.
Oh, you gotta take
See,
it.
they ain't been doing that. I'm
Like
telling
how?
you, if I was who what? The first time I went to the city council, like I told them, and they did the way they did, I wouldn't have went back to the city council no more. They done made about 5 or 6 trips to the city council. But the people that sit up there and don't say nothing.
I told him, man, he's talking about my blood.
I'd have been all around that nigga house, the mayor house. I'd have been following his children, picking his children. I'd have been around that judge house. I'd have been around that police house. His daddy, ain't nowhere in hell his daddy would have come to the city council meeting if I'd have been in charge. And I was there.
His daddy came, that was his daddy at the council meeting?
Yeah, they said his daddy came to one of the city council meeting and was taunting the protesters, trying to get the police to put him in jail.
Wow.
When his son done murdered that man like that, and all these people in position, all our black people in position, they sit down, they say nothing, thinking these white folks love them. They don't love them. When they get through using them, they throw them away.
Let me ask you, how old are you?
76.
You 76 years old.
And I done seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, where do you think race relations at in this country, and you 76 years old?
The same place it was when the first African stepped his foot on the ground off the slave ship.
So you don't.
It ain't never changed. Even the little benefits that they gave us when civil rights supposed to come, all the benefits they gave us benefit them. You gonna allow me to go in your restaurant now because you see the power of the dollar. But I remember in the 50s, white folks wouldn't take your money. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
You could go in a white place business back in the day, honey. They would not take your money. Said, we don't take nigga money. But when they found out about the power of the dollar,
he
then
said,
they
well, how long
started.
he gonna be? I said, about 20 minutes. He dismissed it before he got here.
Look here, when they found out about the power of the dollar, they started making the little rules, letting you go to the lunch counters and stuff. But my mama was a woman that she told me and my sisters, it was boys coming up, don't none of y'all go out there and pray in. Don't go out there talking about sit in. She said, because if one of them crack a picture, I'm going to jail. And she said, you can't make people accept you. So if they don't want you in their restaurant and they tell you to get out, get out. So they might spit in your food. Who knows? My mama raised us like that. Right there in Daytona Beach, where I was raised. For 4 months old, I was raised in Daytona. I never went to that beach.
I'm covering 25 to 30 cities. I want to ask you a question. I travel across the state, and black folk won't speak out like you. Why do you speak out so strong? Most black folk won't even say boo.
I got some buddies that speak out. You just ain't met them. Okay. But everywhere I have gone, it has been a. But ever since I was 10, I was fighting white folks. So
It's just a routine thing.
that's just something my mama raised me up.
What's your name?
Viola Lewis.
Viola Lewis. Thank you very much for sharing. Most people won't.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is the Get To Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhymes, and I'm in Kingsland. And I'm over here today because the young man got shot 6 times here by the police officer. And on my way to meet Malik Shabazz, I see something that's very interesting, and I want to share it with you. First, I want you to acknowledge with me, if you will, that that is the United States flag, but if you notice, there is no Georgia flag. Did you hear me? There is no Georgia flag. Then I come down here, and I see a memorial, seems like it's set up for veterans. And here it says, in recognition of Kingsland Councilman Donald H. Mosley, Z. All right? Of course, that's a person of interest. However, look at these beautiful monuments here recognizing all the branches of the armed forces in the United States of America. And I want you to know that this is a beautiful historic site. And I want you to, once again, to acknowledge what I'm about to say here. I want you to notice again now, I'm going up to the United States flag, and if you will notice, you do not see a Georgia flag. same way it is over here. I have already recorded to you in Valdosta that there is a system among the Southerners not to fly the Georgia flag, because if you remember, it was changed. And when it was changed, somebody said collectively, I guess it's a white pattern and practice, and maybe a few Uncle Toms and Aunt Janes said, we will not fly the Georgia flag. And
never see her father again. Will never see her father again. And it's going to take lots of time to heal those wounds. Lots of time, especially when a child is at that age. They are conscious of what's going on. They love their fathers. Taken because of bad policy, bad practices, and a rogue police officer that has taken life into his own hands. And so I would like you to hear from his cousin, from Marion, and from the family. And I want you to hear from the pastor. And then we will await the court hearing at 2 o'clock. But we want to say on behalf of Attorney Reginald Green, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Black Lawyers for Justice, that we are going to fight this case with all that we have, and to make sure that justice is done for Tony Green, and so that there are no more Tony Greens to come behind. Let's bring on Marion. Come on. Speak your piece, man.
Tony Green, who we passionately and we love and we knew as Punch. He was a loving member of this community. He was funny, artistic, and humble. And our family is hurting. This is a pain that is unexplainable. This is a pain that we don't want anybody else to feel. This is a pain that is more than hurting. We want justice. We have questions, and we don't understand why. We just want justice. It hurts. It just hurts so bad.
Justice for Tony. Justice for Tony. Justice for Tony. Justice for Tony. Justice for Tony.
All right. I don't,
I just want to say,
I
love everyone.
This is Wendy, the mother of Tony Green's daughter, Tony, who is here with us now.
Thank all of you for coming. It's not just a devastation for my child. This is a devastation to our community. I have 4 sons that I'm scared when they're walking out the door. And we've been having this problem until this happened. And this is it. Thank you for everybody. I love all y'all, his sisters and his children. We need justice. We need justice for Tony. Justice for Tony.
Justice for Tony.
Justice for Tony. Justice for Tony. Justice for Tony. Justice for Tony. Justice for Tony.
All right. We're happy to take some questions.
You mentioned holding the city accountable.
Yeah.
How do you plan on going about that? You also mentioned potentially pursuing legal action. So how are you going to hold the city accountable?
Federal law and federal civil rights law prohibits a city or a municipality from having, for failure to hire, failure to train, and failure to supervise its officers. If there is a custom and a practice or an unwritten policy in the department that allows Officer Presley to continue on duty and to engage in the deadly actions he engaged in, then it's not just Officer Presley who must be held accountable, it's the city. And it's the police department and the city who are responsible for failure to supervise him when they know in advance that he has that potential to take the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness from a citizen. In this case, Tony Green. It's the city. And so, yes, legal action is I would say, imminent. It's imminent here. and it's violation of federal civil rights law, United States Code 42, Section 1983. Clear violation here. The officer, as I said, because he's probable cause, he's been arrested, he's already exceeded the civil standards for violation of 42, 1983, excessive force, unlawful seizure, as well as other state statutes, wrongful death, assault. Liability of Presley is clear. But what we're getting at also here is the system that allows Presley to roam and to stalk. You know, we have police reports where citizens have complained that after an action with Officer Presley, that he had used his vehicle to really stalk the complainant and to park his police car in front of the complainant's home. Other complaints, you know, they're getting to the bottom of it. Racial profiling. An African-American woman said that Presley just follows her till she had to pull off of the highway, and that he was admonished. And there's other evidence. There's evidence in his background, and there's evidence in the policies in general that the officials here were not doing their job when they had notice.
Grandma them had to deal with this.
Man, his daughter saw her, man, she just cried.
My grandma them had to deal with this. 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 Grandma them had to deal with this. My 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 grandma them had to deal with this. grandma them had to deal with this. My 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 grandma them had to deal with this. 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 Didn't think I had to deal with these issues in my life. My grandma them had to deal with this.
Man, his daughter's so hurt, man. She just crying.
Yes, sir. We're here seeking justice for the family.
Tony Green.
Justice for the community.
We're here for all
Justice
the people
for
that's
America.
racially profiled and terrorized. We just on our job, man. Just another day of work, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Another day of work. All right.
All right, so thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Wait till the next generation. Wait till the next generation. Wait till the next generation.
That's what they've been saying, you
Wait till the
see.
next generation.
There you'll find your
Wait till the
identity.
next generation.
We're gonna be ready to take a
Wait till
stand
the next generation.
and take control of the life that's in your hands. All along the road, freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. There's gonna be a victory for the common man, a vast awakening all across the land, all across the land.
The next generation.
Apathy's gonna be hard to
Wait till the
find.
next generation.
We're gonna select the things that go into our
Wait
mind.
till the next generation.
We're gonna shape our own
Wait
destiny
till the next generation.
and alter the face of history. All along the road, freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. There's gonna be a victory for the common man, a vast awakening all across the land, all across the land.
The next generation.
This I want you to
Wait till the
understand.
next generation.
I don't wanna
grandma them had to deal with this. My 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 grandma them had to deal with this. I think I had to deal with these issues in my life. My grandma them had to deal with this.
Man, his daughter so hurt, man, she just crying.
Well, did you know Mr. Crime Boy just killed somebody? Well, what is your opinion on that?
He said that.
Okay, Turn Malik, as you watch the case, what did you think about the way it was moving?
I didn't like the way it was moving. I didn't like the way they let the defense attorney go on and on. And then when she stated her position, and then she brought a witness to try to testify that he was a church choir boy. And the state did not challenge the government witness. You know what I mean? The state did not challenge the defense witness, did not challenge him, did not ask him, was he aware that Presley had committed certain bad acts. So he was willing to let that go, and then what concerned me further was that he started arguing for release and conditions of release, when that's not what you do. You argue against the release. If the judge grants the release, then you start negotiating terms. You don't start off holding a man by negotiating. And then I felt that the lead district attorney should be here. There ain't no nothing bigger going on than this. So I hope politics is not involved in this. And it's not won't be headed in a political situation where they're saying, well, if he's charged, that means the people will be happy or the family will be happy. But then if they don't go hard at it, the other people will be happy. You see what I'm saying? This can't be boiled down to politics or compromise. This has to be an uncompromising prosecution. Now, he should be charged with greater charges, and if he has to come down to a lesser charge somehow, then that's fine. But I mean, the family wants second-degree murder, which is intent to kill or intent to inflict serious bodily injury, intent to kill with recklessness. So, I'm for this. To be clear, I'm for stronger charges as the family is. But on these charges, I'm for prosecuting and hammering hard, not giving Presley a break. Presley is a murderer. There was no way the government is supposed to come out here today in the state and to say that he should be allowed at the community, allowed in the grocery store. This man has anger management problems that are deadly to human life. And he has had no treatment or nothing, and no punishment at all. He's a danger and should not be walking the streets.
I have two more questions. One is kind of lightweight, and I'm asking lightweight before I ask the heavy one. The lightweight is, I noticed some people that came in with no sleeves in their shirt. It may be a small thing, but that scared me in itself, because every courtroom that I've been in, they mostly tell you got to have sleeves.
I'm not as concerned about that. I'm concerned about that, but I'm not as concerned about that as what those people with those sleeves and no sleeves and tattoos may represent, and how them being close friends of him may represent what he represents. To me, that warrants further investigation into what his real afterlife or outside life is, and is he affiliated with groups that are racist and white supremacists. That's what that signals to me, because I know those kind of groups and men, and they send off flags in my head. So I understand about them being in there, but I'm honestly happy to be in there because it gave us more evidence as to the nature of so-called clean-cut wrestling.
Okay.
So-called clean-cut wrestling.
And my last question was this. When I was coming out of the courtroom, I came ahead of you guys because I wanted to do this interview and I had to go with my camera. But I had a person that writes for a newspaper said to me, he said, well, how did you feel about it? I said, well, I think that that's all they could have done with a clean face. And he told me, well, it shocked me. and he works for the newspaper. And I asked him, well, why do you say that? He said, because I've been up here a long time around this courtroom. And he said, I've seen it go the other way.
Sure,
and I thought that was interesting.
Sure he has.
And so maybe the participation, and
absolutely. Is a general standing rule that concern from the community about what's going on in the case has some impact on the case. It's much different than if nobody was in the courtroom and all the press people were there. Sure, this being a matter of concern for the family and the community and the strong participation, I believe certainly was helpful.
Malik, one more question.
Well,
because but let me ask you a question. How does the family feel about this? I mean, you all committed, you united. I mean, just give us a little bit of how the family feels about what happened here today about the verdict.
As a whole, we definitely we're pleased with the outcome because it could have went a different way, given what Attorney said here a few moments ago. However, we are a family that is united and we understand who is the head of our lives. And that is what it ultimately is going to lead us and guide us through this entire process. And that's where we see.
Okay. Malik, finally, I'd like you to close this out. Where and how far are you willing to go with this case?
I'm willing to go as far as I have the power to go in this case, which is to prosecute the city and the county and the officers to the maximum that the civil law will allow, which is to the maximum level. And that's what we're going to do. And what we're also going to do is to talk to advocate, and to pressure the district attorney to be on his job. I've been in other states where the district attorney was not prosecuting all of the charges that he should have, and I have forced district attorneys to add hate crimes to the defendants, which extended their sentence, and have done things that district attorneys didn't want to do. So I'm willing to do all of that on a legal level. And that's all I'll say. I'm willing to do anything, really, but on a legal level, I'm willing to do just what I said as strong as I can. That's all I want to say. Right
Appreciate you very much. Thank you, man.
I'm really fed up with the police murder of black men.
Across the nation.
But I represent someone else. What I am is I'm a representative. And as a representative, that's as strong as I will be, and that's very strong as a legal representative.
Thank you very much. Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press, George Foster Rhymes.
For this young lady,
her
daughter, and her daughter. So that you got to understand here, there's lives that are affected by this. That's what we want to understand. Lives are being affected. God bless you, man.
Okay. Thank you very much. Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press. I'm George Foster Rhymes out of Valdosta, Georgia. And I report what others ignore. I'm over here because I was called. I very seldom go any place unless I'm called. And I am overwhelmed by the number of news cameras that was here today. I am overwhelmed by the participation from the family. And in addition to that, I am happy to be here in Camden County, wherein at least they have the United States flag and the Georgia flag flying high. In many counties in Georgia, they do not have a Georgia flag flying consistently over schools and other government agencies. So I want to commend the city and the county commissioners here in Camden County for recognizing our active duty, disabled, retired military veterans, along with the Air National Guard. Thank you so much. Once again, this is George Foster Rhymes to Get to Free Press, and we report what others ignore. Bye-bye. You go.
My grandma them had to deal with this. 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 My grandma them had to deal with this.
What's your name?
Raquel Ordonez.
And where are you from?
I'm from San Jose, California.
Okay, and you said you've been to the crime scene. We're about to go over there. You say you've been already?
Yes, I've been to the crime scene 3 times already.
Would you explain what happened, if you please?
Well, the first time I went to the crime scene, it was the very next day. And I went there, I prayed, I witnessed the memorial that's out there for Anthony Green. And I also was very concerned because I said it's not even 24 hours and the crime scene is not protected. Now, if you have any criminal background or in criminal justice, you understand that you got to protect a crime scene Well, the crime scene was not protected. It could be contaminated. There could be evidence that can be destroyed. A couple of days later, we went back out there again, and I was surprised that the city actually had, and I do have it on my video, my footage, the city's out there cleaning up the crime scene, and that's city dollars. How are you going to pay city dollars to clean up a crime scene that hasn't even, it's not even 1 week into the investigation? That crime scene should be covered. It should be protected. It should not be open to a cleanup like that. And God can only imagine what kind of evidence was destroyed because that crime scene was not properly protected by the city and the county.
I want to thank you for that, but another question I want to ask you, when you say not protected, did they have the orange strip?
There was no police tape.
There's no police tape.
From the area where I went to, where the area where the car stalled or where the car got turned off, and went all up the block where he ran, where the victim ran, up to the area. And between that point and that point, this officer has time to think about what he's doing. That's not a passion of the heat. I could understand if you caught somebody in bed with your woman, that can be a passion of the heat kind of crime, but this is not that kind of crime. He pursued, he didn't have to. There was no tape covering each point at all. No police tape. That to even show that there had been any kind of victim at that place, besides the memorial of what the people had put up.
And one other thing, how many days was it from the time it happened? You say you went out there and there was no tape, and that the city started cleaning.
The very next day, there was no tape. The very next day, because it happened around 10:30 at night. Right. So the very next day, in the afternoon and daylight, there was no tape around. Wow. A couple of days after that, the city was out there using taxpayers' dollars to clean up.
Okay.
And that can bring lack of evidence.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing that with me, but there's another thing I want to ask you on tape too. I'm going to give you my email address, and if you could send me the footage that you have, I will include it in this tape behind what you are saying to let people know what you are saying is truth, because I'm the Get To Free Press and I report what others ignore, and I believe in the truth, and that's all we want is the truth.
I believe in the truth.
Yes.
Justice and truth always.
And what's your name once again?
Just is just, and what is truth is truth.
And what you say you do at rallies? You say you do something. What was that?
I say my wings.
Power to the people. All right. Thank you.
My grandma them had to deal with this.
This is the Get To Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines, and I was just talking to the young man here, and he was telling me something that's very interesting. I already know about other cities and counties and municipalities, but he has something that is worthy of being repeated. And what's your name?
Pat Betchick.
Nice meeting you, Mr. Betchick.
Yeah, just say Pat.
Pat, nice meeting you. Will you please tell me what you just said in the camera, please?
Okay. Yes, sir. My stepson passed away in 2013 in a firehouse house fire. What you need to know, though, is that previous to that, he was never arrested, never convicted of several charges, and yet he came here to this courthouse and they sent him to 1 year in probation detention center, even though he wasn't in violation of probation. What happens is the district attorney and the public defender get together over lunch with a file of cases and they plea bargain everything to avoid it going to court. If it does go to court, it's usually 90% settled and the judge may have a question, but it's mostly just an act for the public, as if the laws of this country are actually being enforced as they should.
So you telling me, so from what you are saying, you don't have much confidence in the system?
That would be an overstatement.
That's an overstatement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you will say that that's what happens. You're not saying that you don't have faith in it, but you're just saying that's what you know happens.
It's how things really work.
Yeah. How do you feel saying that? You don't, I mean, you being white, you're not fearful when you make that statement? You mean, why don't you feel like a lot of, I go to a lot of cities in Canada.
I work at Missions for Camden, and I've learned there is no white, there is no black. We're all human, we're all struggling, and that if there's any one color, we should all be purple.
Hey, and what did I tell you? I told you I thank you for willing to do it on camera, and you did that.
Yeah.
That's enough. I want to appreciate it. I don't want to add anything else to it, but what you say. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. And where you live?
St. Mary's, Georgia.
Oh, you're in St. Mary's. I got to come down there.
My grandma them had to deal with this. My grandma them had to deal with this. My grandma them had to deal with this. My boy, that was just them at the house grieving, man, and why did they put that in too? Yes, nice to put that in, but my partner, that was their therapy, man. Yeah. I think I had to deal with these issues, and my grandma them had to deal with this.
Man, his daughter's so hurt, man, she just crying.
I
think white girls quit sending me friend requests on Facebook. I didn't say that, Jeff.
You gotta stop tagging their pages.
Attorney survives, you all gotta say something. I got you live. One more. Attorney Green, you got
Yes,
you
sir.
live.
We're here seeking justice for the family.
Tony Green. Here for
Justice
Tony
for
Green.
the community.
We're here for all
Justice
the people
for
that's
America.
racially profiled and terrorized. We just on our job, man. It's another day of work, unfortunately. Unfortunately. It's another day of work. All right.
All right, so thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good one, man.